On a Saturday morning.
Yep.
We're talking golf on the radio and other things.
And other things. We're gonna go into the other things category right now.
Let's do it.
I've been looking forward to this. I've had some really good email correspondence with this young lady over the last couple of days, and she sent me her new book. I got it on Wednesday, so I've cracked open a great book called Playboy Swings, and it's basically about Hugh Hefner starting Playboy and the influence they had on music. And I didn't think about it, but he had a huge influence. I mean, it's unbelievable the amount of. I kind of remember it from my days. I mean, I'm going to be 60 in July.
You weren't reading the musical reviews in the magazine?
Yes, I was.
Okay.
The other thing that really comes out is the impact he had with the writers that he had.
Oh, I'm telling you, the writers
broke through. So anyway, please welcome to the show, Patty Farmer, author of Playboy Swings. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Hi, Patty. We're doing great.
Happy for a Saturday morning.
Oh, well, you should see the amount of coffee and, juices that we drink.
Yeah.
Hey, so I'm sitting here. Well, first of all, were you part of Playboy or were you just fascinated with Playboy?
I'm just fascinated with Playboy. I'm a writer, and I write about entertainment history. And when I found out that for over 2 decades, Playboy was the largest employer of entertainment in the country, that really interested me. So I did a lot of research, went to the source, talked to a lot of folks who started at Playboy. Aretha Franklin when she was 18 years old, and Al Jarreau, and a lot of other people got their start there. So it was a ball for me to write the book.
Well, I just started the book. I got it Wednesday. I just started the book. So I'm through about the forward and the couple of about second or third chapter. You know who got a big boost out of Playboy and the Playboy Club of Chicago when it started was Tony Bennett.
Tony Bennett, I believe that. Well, Louis Armstrong, I remember they used to write about him.
You know how he got to start? It was Patty. Well, you had the story. He basically filled in for somebody.
Tony Bennett? Really?
Tony Bennett was a great Playboy friend, and he was really on all the Playboy platforms. The clubs in Chicago, the jazz festival, the TV show, which I don't think you've gotten to those chapters yet, but great stories at the TV shows. Also, Playboy's Penthouse and Playboy After Dark, and definitely talking to Tony Bennett for the book. He told me, he said, Hugh Hefner was brilliant in the fact that he took having fun and made it profitable. So
that's a good way to put it.
Well, the interesting thing that Patty writes in her book, and we're on the phone with Patty Farmer, she's the author of Playboy Swings, and I highly recommend it. It's a great read. I've only got about 3 chapters in. I've only had it for 2 days, but it's a great read. Is Hugh, in some aspects, is a true definition of the right guy at the right place at the right time. Because, I mean, first of all, he was starting off, he was a writer for, I think it was Esquire, who was out of Chicago. And Patty, you correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'm just going along with it. Esquire moved their offices to New York. They offered Hugh, and this is a great story, they offered Hugh to move with them to New York. And they says, Hugh, you move to New York, we'll give you a $5 a week raise. And Hugh Hefner... Yeah, go ahead.
Actually, you know what happened? They asked him to move, and Hef had, he was married at the time, and he had his, a young daughter, and he asked for $5 a week more to relocate the family. And they said, no, we can't go for $5 a week more. So that's why Hef ended up turning that down, staying in Chicago, borrowing money from his mother to a few other people, but primarily from his mother, to start this magazine that, he loved, of course, pretty girls and music, but he left that first issue undated in case he had to, in case they didn't all sell in the first month, because he was thinking ahead and he didn't want a dated magazine to sell. So anybody who has that first issue that's undated, they have, it's worth a few dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, the story, that's why it's so cool reading this book, is she keeps telling these stories. Like, for example, when he started the Playboy Clubs, one of the instrumental guys behind the Playboy Clubs was a guy named Arnie Morton, which went on to make Morton's Steakhouse.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a great story.
He had it all going.
Well, the other great story was how he started the Playboy Jazz Festival. I mean, by coincidence, up in Chicago, and nobody believed in him, did they, Patty?
No, they really didn't. And Chicago, the Jazz Festival was really an anniversary party. It was 5 years of the magazine, and Hef wanted to have a big party to celebrate, and he knew all these musicians, and it made a list who to invite. Ella Fitzgerald, Duke Ellington, Count Basie, Frank Sinatra, all these folks, and everybody said they would be there, except for Frank Sinatra. He was filming Can and couldn't make it. But it turned into this great, historic 3-day festival. It was really a unbelievable thing, but he had a lot of trouble in Chicago. The Catholic Church did not want the city to rent him the stadium, so he had to scurry at the last minute and find another place to have the festival.
Patty,
what year was that, Patty?
55?
1959.
59.
And
it's a different world.
Really historic, too, because he's really one of the most colorblind people that I've ever met. And he integrated the stages and integrated the audience. 1959, it was pre-Civil Rights Act of 64. So that was, he got a lot of flack in those early years for, having Nat King Cole on the TV show, and sitting down talking to white women. He lost a lot of advertisers and networks, but interesting story. Every time I turned a page or, heard another story, I was just, going, really? And Hef was really a genius. He's a certifiable genius. Business-wise, he started franchising when people, didn't know from franchising, and he started branding before Donald Trump ever slapped his name on a building. He took the name Playboy, the word Playboy, and, made it mean something else.
Patty, what I thought was interesting, tell everybody, what was the original name of the magazine?
Oh, it was going to be Stag Party, with antlers, but it was taken. He ran into a copyright issue, but he envisioned a stag party with this elk or moose or whatever, with big antlers and wearing a tuxedo. And, I'm happy that it turned into Playboy with the pretty little bunny on the cover.
Well, that little bunny's become worldwide famous. Patty, as you were researching the book and looking at stories, what was the one story or the one piece of information that you found out that you said, wow, never would have thought that?
Joe, every time I turned the corner, there was another one. My method of writing is I get a research team. We do all the historic, dates, times, places, and then I go to the performers who were actually there and get their story. So I had the privilege of talking to Joan Rivers before she passed away. And she started at Playboy as part of a trio.
Oh, really?
Jim, Jake, and Joan. And the boys sang folk songs and Joan told jokes. And, I was amazed by that. And, talking to Al Jarreau before he was the 5-time Grammy winner. Al Jarreau started at the Playboy Club as part of a duo, Al and Julio. So stories like that, how people started and how they really credited Hef with helping them along. Dick Gregory, great comedian, still going today. But when he got his star on the Walk of Fame last year, first thing he said, or maybe the second thing, he said, I credit Hugh Hefner with helping to break the color barrier in the Playboy Club and giving me a chance on stage in 1960 in front of a white audience and allowing me to get the Star of Fame today. So, every time I talk to somebody, I got better stories. Sonny Rollins had stories, just chock full of, stuff I didn't know about, and that's what I write about.
I'm looking forward to reading it, like Joe is.
It's a great. This is Patty Farmer. She's written the book Playboy Swings. Fascinating book.
I have a question. So you believe that he helped jazz become mainstream?
Oh yeah,
I really do.
No doubt about that. Huh?
I think has helped advance jazz from being a type of music that you dance to being a concert music.
Yeah,
you know,
a cool
where
thing.
Yeah. And, told people that it was, great music, and he had the jazz polls in the magazine. In that first issue we were talking about, he could have had the feature article about any movie star or sports figure or politician, and yet that feature article was about the Dorsey brothers. So that's how committed Hess was.
Yeah.
He just loved it. He thought it was cool music and really pushed it, yeah.
Well, Patty, I'm loving the book so far. Tell all of our listeners how they can find Patty Farmer's Playboy Swings book. How can they get a copy?
They should be able to get it in any bookstore. If they don't have it, ask for it. Amazon will get it to you in time for Father's Day, and Barnes & Noble carries it. Just any book venue around the country, and if you don't see it, give me a little hand and ask for it.
And by the way, the book also has great photos. I mean, it's just like you go, oh, wow. And by the way, Patty, give me an inside hill. Every time you see Hugh Hefner, you see him with his pipe. Is there anything in that pipe, or is it just there in his hand?
You know what? I think he's when I visit him up in the mansion, I don't see him carrying around that pipe so much. So I think it's more a prop between you and me. Don't let that happen.
There you go. Well, Patty, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. If you're ever in the city of Houston visiting, please call us so we can go out, we can have some beverages and some entertainment and talk more about it.
I would love to. Hey, I'm up in Austin right now, and the Republic of Texas bike rally is going on, and that is such a hoot. It kept me up all night. It is so much fun.
Well, Patty, if you get down to Houston, I mean, if you're in Austin, you're in a good town.
That's it.
And by the way, if you're up there, go over on Congress Avenue. There's a little place called the Continental Club, and you will have one heck of a good time.
Oh, that's good.
I'm going to do that. Thank you.
Music.
There you go, Patty Farmer.
Thanks, Patty.
This, author of the book Playboy Swings. A little diversion from golf. But I think everybody in golf that we talk to probably can associate with Playboy.
Right. Is there a fold-out in the middle of that book?
Absolutely.
Okay.